This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Kia ora, good evening, I'm Melissa Barton. Farmers across New Zealand have told the government enough is enough and are giving it a month to address their concerns. Today saw farmers and tradespeople protesting in cities and towns across the country against several government reforms.
Making themselves seen and heard, farmers and tradespeople were cheered on by locals as they drove through Dunedin in a protest against government regulations which they say are disproportionately penalising them. Jim McDonald has a farm in Clark's Junction and is very pleased with the encouragement from Dunedin bystanders.
It's one end of the country to the other. We're doing our bit here in Mosgiel through to Dunedin. We've picked up Clinton, Belcluta, and let's go for it. We've got to make a stand. Yeah.
He says the Dunedin protest represents farmers and tradespeople from the local region, but speaks for the whole country.
It was great to see, and an awful lot of support. I think I just heard before there was one protester, but someone else took the banner away, and that was it. No, overall it was just support.
Police estimate up to 200 vehicles were involved in the protest at Dunedin. They say while there was traffic congestion as expected, there were no significant issues. In Dunedin, the South Today.
And protests weren't confined to the main centre, with many towns across New Zealand briefly brought to a halt, with an influx of tractors and utes filling the streets.
Hundreds of tractors, trucks and utes took over towns across the south today as farmers and tradespeople peacefully protested government regulations which they say are disproportionately penalising the rural sector. Timaru saw lines of vehicles trawling along Portaloop Road before merging to ride in convoy down Timaru's main shopping street. More than 1,000 people gathered in Alexandra, with Pioneer Park filled with utes and tractors and their procession set for mid-afternoon. Hundreds of people and vehicles met at the Wanaka Showgrounds to protest, with roads around Pembroke Park completely jammed. Protests in other towns outside the main centres included Gore, Queenstown, Oamaru, Invercargill, Mosgiel and Belcluta. Groundswell co-founder Bryce McKenzie of West Otago says there's a lot of mental anguish in the farming community, but urges protesters to stay peaceful. He asked people who turned up to be passionate but not angry, and those who were angry about the situation and thinking about bringing a tractor were asked to stay at home. Across the regions, the South Today.
Following on from a story in yesterday's bulletin, we have an update on a retaining wall a Mosgiel couple have been instructed to fix. The Dunedin City Council says the now bulging wall in the Gladstone Heights subdivision was not yet built when a culvert connected to the property was approved. The council says a certificate was issued for the culvert and for the house the couple built there. But the unconsented wall was added by the subdivision's developer after the culvert was signed off. Fixing the wall could cost the couple up to $100,000. The developer said it is not responsible for any problem with the wall. 75 scouts and guides are taking the stage in South Dunedin this week for a night of mayhem at the museum. This year's gang show uses song, dance and dialogue to explore what happens when museum exhibits come to life after dark.
I found the missing kid. He had some story about wanting to work at the museum.
Mayhem at the museum, with night watchmen facing off against museum exhibits that come to life, is the title of this year's gang show. This is the 21st show that Noel Walker and his wife Sue have scripted and directed, and it's the satisfaction of seeing young people develop theatre skills that keeps the Walkers creating a new gang show every 2 years.
I think the excitement of working with the young cast, trying to always do better, come up with new storylines, new music, new songs, that will appeal to the cast and to the audience, and just to try and get better. But I suppose the main incentive is to provide a real quality experience for the young people who are in the cast.
75 scouts and guides from across the south make up this year's cast, with many, such as Will Leslie and Alice Barrett, back again after having been bitten by the theatre bug at previous events.
This one I joined because last year I had such a ball. It was so fun.
I play two statues, Tchaikovsky and the Duke of Wellington, and involves a lot of standing still. Get quite tiring trying to stay completely still, but then we unfreeze and it's fun to be able to start dancing and get involved.
Walker says that while some of the performers go on to bigger productions, for many the show is just about enjoying themselves at this level.
I mean, some have gone into rock bands, others have gone into leading operatic shows around town. I mean, several of the ex-cast were in Les Miserables, for example, so that's good. But for many of them, gang show sort of provides their home, where they feel comfortable using their theatrical talents and their singing and musical talents, so that's cool too.
The gang show is set to run at the Mayfair Theatre every evening until Saturday, plus a 2 p.m. matinee on Saturday afternoon. In Dunedin, the South Today.
The peanut-shaped roundabout in the Dunedin suburb of St Clair is finally in operation. The road was not scheduled to reopen until tomorrow, but vehicles were permitted to navigate the unusually shaped junction yesterday. Crews working on intersection improvements started in July last year and were originally due to be finished by Christmas. But the completion date was extended 6 months when it was discovered water mains and sewer lines in the area needed upgrading. The new completion date of June this year was then pushed back when the work to replace ageing water, wastewater and stormwater infrastructure took longer than expected. But the peanut-shaped roundabout should be worth the wait. The roundabout was planned after 11 crashes at the intersection from 2011 to 2015. The new alignment is expected to be safer for motorists and pedestrians. A warning, the following news story includes the use of needles which may disturb some viewers. COVID immunisations are continuing across New Zealand, with the Southern District Health Board already 14% ahead of schedule. And local pharmacies are pitching in by coordinating vaccinations at individual rest homes and retirement villages.
Sir Alan Mark gets his second COVID-19 vaccination jab at the Somerset at Bishop's Court Rest Home in Dunedin. Several residents had already received their second vaccinations by going to the Southern District Health Board's Central City Vaccination Clinic. But about 55 residents opted for the convenience of getting their jabs in-house, with Glenys Webber pleased to now be immunised.
It's quite good to know we've had it done, yes. We probably won't be travelling, but we've got look, our daughter wants to come over, but of course she's in Sydney, so there's not much hope of that in the near future.
These injections are being administered by the Roslyn Pharmacy, and immunisation coordinator Alex Schweiger says her pharmacy is doing the vaccinations for 6 rest homes and 2 disability service providers, with plans to begin vaccinations in the wider community at the start of August.
So at the moment we're in communication with the Southern DHB to get our on-site COVID vaccination clinic up and running, and that'll be open for the general population.
It's planned that general vaccinations will be rolled out in age bands, starting with those over 60 and then over 55 and so on. And Schweiger says things are running smoothly with the vaccination of rest home residents.
The rest homes, all the staff have been super helpful. It's been a really smooth transition. No adverse reactions that we've encountered. It's been really smooth, and we were excited to keep pushing through. Yeah.
The District Health Board is already 14% ahead of schedule, with over 40,000 Southerners having received both jabs. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Still to come on the South Today. The New Zealand Highland and National Dancing Championships gets underway in Oamaru, and we have this week's edition of Rugby Chat with rugby aficionado Paul Dwyer. So catch this and more after the break. Welcome back. Nearly 300 competitors from across New Zealand have converged on Oamaru for the New Zealand Highland and National Dancing Championships. The North Otago town has risen to the challenge of hosting the events, but organisers have had to find more space.
Putting their best feet forward and up and down. Scores of aspiring Highland dancers are flocking to Oamaru to compete in national competitions.
We've got 271 competitors from all over the country, so it's brought a lot of people to town. I think the accommodation's full, the restaurants will be busy, there's children everywhere.
Highland dancing competitions are separated along age lines. Thursday's categories include dancers aged under 14, under 12 and under 7. North Otago Piping and Dancing Society Committee member Vicky Jameson says these events are the pinnacle of nationwide competitions.
It's a prestigious event in the Highland dancing community. The juniors, under 7 to under 14s are dancing today and Friday morning. Friday afternoon, Saturday and Sunday are the seniors, which are the New Zealand Championships under 16, under 18 and 18 and over.
The Oamaru Opera House is hosting the national championships for senior dancers and regional competitions for juniors. Jameson says it's such a big event they've had to expand to a second venue.
It's the event of the year for the girls. They've worked all year towards this, so it's the event for the Highland dancers.
Competitors range in age from 5 to 26 years old. In Oamaru, the South Today.
In this edition of Rugby Chat, rugby aficionado Paul Dwyer analyses last weekend's Premier Rugby playoffs.
Welcome to ODT Rugby Chat, brought to you by Garrett Orr. My old mate Gerald over there in Cocker Valley. Get over there and buy a door of him. So we're back in the studio this week. We went down to Clydevale on the weekend. It was -6. The rugby wasn't of our exceptionally high standard, but Clutha Valley won and they beat Heriot, and they're going to play again this weekend. But we've finally decided on top 6. So I've got Charles Elton, the captain of Harbour here, and I've got Will Nartai from the Eels. So boys, first question to you both. So you guys just lost that game on purpose, so the Sharks wouldn't make it? Is that what I'm hearing?
Nah, I think a little bit. Nah, I think it was a good game. I think we played well up until about 15 minutes out from full time, but I think they just kind of snuck it. Harbour kind of snuck in their way in, but I think we a bit too many mistakes from us in the last 15, and it cost us the game, I think.
We'll come back to that because you win by 40 one week and then you lose to Harbour. So you've just come back and you've been out injured all year basically. What was wrong with it?
Tore my Achilles.
That's right.
In about November.
So so you've only been back the last 3 weeks. But is it fair to say that you've made a difference? Because look, I've watched Harbour play 2 or 3 times this year, and there was a lot of they played some aimless rugby, they played some silly rugby, and they got offside with referees, and they had a series of yellow cards. But the last 2 or 3 weeks, you've had to win 2 crucial games and you've won them. So what's the difference? Is it you?
I wouldn't say it's me, mate. I think we've just simplified things a wee bit. We were always very close to toppling teams, and I think
you lost a lot of games by a couple of points,
yes,
didn't you?
Exactly. So we were always almost there, but we've just found that last little bit. We speak about getting a bit of momentum going into the finals, and I think we've done that the last few weeks.
And we'll be back to you to talk about winners and losers and semi-finalists next week.
And you can watch the full Rugby Chat online at odt.co.nz. Still to come on the South today, a woman pleads guilty to making a bomb threat against the University of Otago. And we check out the weekend's weather for you, so see you after the break.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Hi, it's Lindsay here from Alex Campbell Menswear. We have a massive manufacturer's clearance plus. There's liquidated stock from our suppliers. For example, we have cotton casual trousers from 1990, dress trousers from 1990, merino zip pullovers, fashion shirts, warm winter shirts, jackets. There's a great deal on overcoats, blazers and suits. Come and check out our jeans. We're known for our jean selection.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Come in and see the massive manufacturer's clearance at Alex Campbell Menswear.
MTF Finance can help you turn the key on your next vehicle with a loan made just for you. TCs and lending criteria apply.
Thanks for staying with us. A woman has pleaded guilty in the Auckland District Court to making a bomb threat against the University of Otago. The threat led to the cancellation of graduation ceremonies for thousands of students in December last year. Graduating students had to make do with wearing regalia while collecting their degrees after the woman threatened a firearms and explosives attack. The woman in her early 20s is seeking discharge without conviction. She has been released on existing bail conditions and will be sentenced in October. And now time to look at the ODT. Welcome, Craig Page. What have you got?
Put me on the hop there, Mel. Sorry about that. Yeah, look,
you were thinking about tomorrow's paper, weren't you?
Exactly. Yeah, busy and noisy old day in Dunedin today with, of course, our protest from the farmers. Thousands taking to the streets around the regions.
I know, it was right out the motorway.
It was. Almost got knocked over dashing over for a sandwich in the Octagon. So.
Did you?
Yes.
Bowled over by a tractor.
There's the story. So yeah, we've had our team out armed with cameras and notebooks to cover the event, so plenty of coverage on that. They're really thrilled with it, the organisers. They think around 700 in Dunedin, but thousands in some of the more rural areas. And also throughout the country, you know, they've all embraced it, so they're really making a statement, I guess, to the government. It'll be interesting to see what the government's response is down the track, though. So
I don't think they can ignore such a big turnout like that.
no, they can't, and it wasn't just rural people that were out there either. You know, there was some good townies amongst them as well. We just wanting to show their support.
Carpets, I saw showing their support.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, some good news for some school pupils in North Dunedin. There was concern about the future of a local swimming pool at Dunedin North Intermediate. It was past its use-by date, I guess you could say, and they were looking at about $500,000 to rebuild and get a new one there. So the government's come to the party with $300,000 to contribute to that, so that's great. Also, the DCC's got on board with a significant donation as well, so really good. I mean, it's a big issue with young kids learning to swim at schools around the country. Expensive things to have at schools now, so a lot of them just got rid of them. So,
but crucial for young children's development and water safety.
I learned to dog paddle there, so it was good.
Oh, did you?
I did. Weekend mix as well. We're hunting in the back blocks of Otago with Lisa Scott. Didn't have much success, but some beautiful scenery. Sporting front, we've got the All Blacks test tomorrow against Fiji. They're desperately looking to improve on their last couple of weeks' performances. They looked a bit flat, really, so we'll see what happens there. But the Otago Spirit, which is the Otago women's rugby side, they start their campaign tomorrow as well, with this weekend with a match against Wellington. We talked to one of the mainstays, Julia Gorinsky. This is her 8th year with the side now. So there's been lots of changes this year, but she's been a bit of a regular, so we've had a yarn to her. Nice story. So that's us.
Fantastic. And you can catch all of that in tomorrow's ODT. And now it's time for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Looking at the situation, a large low pressure system covers the Tasman Sea tonight and will move slowly over New Zealand this weekend, bringing unsettled weather to the region with frequent showers and a tend to colder southwesterly winds. Starting off at the northwest of the South Island, it's a wet day tomorrow with moderate temperatures, rain and 14 degrees for both Greymouth and Westport. Moving to the northeast, the rain continues over on the east side for Nelson and Blenheim with gusty winds, and you're both heading for 16 degrees. Moving to Canterbury, rain for both Kaikoura and Christchurch, with 16 degrees in Kaikoura and 14 in Christchurch. Ashburton also has a high of 14 but can look forward to showers. Looking at what's in store for the southern towns, Balclutha and the Catlins, southwesterlies freshening and showers and a high of 11 degrees. Lumsden and Gore, moderate southerlies with showers and a high of 10 degrees. Travelling westwards to the Central Lakes, Wanaka, Queenstown and Alexandra can all expect light southwesterlies with some cloud and 10 degrees. Tiana, it's moderate southerlies and showers for you, but also with 10 degrees. Looking at the northern towns along the coast, Timaru and Oamaru, variable winds, some cloud, 13 degrees for Oamaru and 14 for Timaru. Inland, Twizel and Amarama will see variable winds with showers and a high of 11 degrees. In Dunedin, rain develops tonight with freshening northerlies and an overnight low of 8. Colder southwesterlies develop late morning tomorrow with rain easing to showers, but skies will remain overcast. Expect fresh southwesterlies tomorrow night, a high of 12 and a low of 7 degrees. Overcast with frequent showers on Sunday and fresh cold southerlies, so wrap up warm, a high of 9 and a low of 6 degrees. And in Invercargill, the rain is set to start clearing tonight with an overnight low of 8. Overcast tomorrow with scattered light rain in the morning, clearing in the afternoon. Southeasterly winds will become colder later on, looking at a high of 11 and a low of 6 degrees. And it's cloudy with frequent showers on Sunday and fresh cold southeasterly winds, a high of 9 and a low of 6 degrees. And now we bring you the last part of a 3-part series about World War I pacifist Archibald Baxter. A memorial to Baxter and his wish for peace is currently under construction on Dunedin's George Street.
As far as military service goes, I am in the same mind as ever. It is impossible for me to serve in the army. I would 1,000 times rather be put to death, and I'm sure you will believe that the stand I take is right. I have never told you since I left New Zealand of the things I have passed through, for I knew how it would hurt you. I only tell you now so that if anything happens to me, you will know.
Pretty emaciated and mentally exhausted.
That letter was extremely moving, and it moved me right out into a completely different world.
Millicent Baxter was born into a very privileged academic family. Helen Collin, her mum, was the first women graduate in New Zealand, and Macmillan Brown was really one of the foundation professors of the University of Canterbury.
I thought that as I was in Dunedin, I should try to get into touch with Archibald Baxter.
She sorted him out and found him, and he was at that stage a broken man physically and a broken man mentally, and he had no teeth, so as he said, had a moustache to cover up his lack of teeth, and he had his eyes were protruding.
Once she'd met Archie, it was going to be what she did with her life, and there was such a congruence of her love for him, but also of her belief in what he stood for.
And it was, of course, a tremendous step to take, because our backgrounds were, as you can imagine, entirely different. But backgrounds don't matter when, one has union of spirit.
They had two sons, Terence, who was also a conscientious objector in the Second World War, and James K. Baxter, who was the second son, who became one of New Zealand's foremost lyric poets.
Gran was very, very keen for Archie to write the book while he still had the memories and was strong and could tell the story. She's written at the beginning of her memoirs that if she'd never met Archie, she would probably never have married. And she certainly says that if she had her life over again, she would seek him out and marry him again.
A group of us felt that there were thousands of monuments to soldiers all across New Zealand, which is quite right and proper, but there wasn't a single monument to those who chose a different path. And we felt that we needed such a monument just to remind people of the sacrifices and the courage that it took to say no to the state.
Well, there you go. It's been 5 years, it's been a long time, but it's been worth it. Brilliant.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.